What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. The cryptocurrency crash. Do you see a crash or do you see opportunity? I guess it all depends on your perspective and how much research you have done and how much belief in your chosen project you have. Me personally, I see this crash as nothing but separating the wheat from the chaff. We're getting rid of the bad projects. Like Warren Buffett said, when the tide goes out, you see who's been swimming without their trunks on. All the scams get exposed. It is very easy to scam people when a market is going up because there's an abundance of money to back up your scam. However, when the market crashes, the scams get exposed because, well, the scammers have got to keep everybody satiated somehow. They've got to get money somehow. But when the market's crashing, there's no money to cover the scam. So these crashes are a good thing, in my opinion. Because in my opinion, my projects that I've invested in are good and they are going to recover. Therefore, the market is going to recover. Let the crashes happen. Let the sales begin, and let all those bad projects that give this asset class that we love so much a bad name, well, let them get shed off. So we're going to read this from WBUR.org, link in the description below. Where some see a setback for crypto, others see signs of a maturing industry. And that's exactly what I see. As the industry matures, we've got to shed off these projects that are no good, these anchors, these things that give cryptocurrency a bad name, these things that take money from people and don't do anything other than take money from people. The cryptocurrency market is still reeling from the worst crash in its history. But even after watching investors lose hundreds of billions of dollars, some crypto fans are not giving up on the technology. I'm not giving up on the technology. It's not going to zero, not in my opinion. It's coming back. It's recovering. We need to go through these times. If we didn't have ups and downs, then it would be a crappy market. If it only went one direction and that was up, then the market wouldn't be very good. It would be very scary. We have to have these ups and downs, because on the ups is when people will bring the scams, and on the downs is when the scams are revealed. Everything else is just a version of a sale, and that's it. What happened is very sad, said Jacqueline Ding, a crypto investor and MIT graduate student. People are still calming down from their emotions. Yes, and people are. I talk to people online. I talk to people in real life. And a lot of people invest way more than they should because they think that they're going to invest their life savings today, go to bed, and wake up tomorrow, and their life savings are going to triple or quadruple. No, don't do that. That's dumb. Never invest more than you can risk. If you can't comfortably lose it, don't invest it, because the minute the market drops, if you've put more money in than you can comfortably lose, you're going to have to pull it out, and you're going to pull it out at a loss. But if you can put in just enough that you're not going to have your lifestyle affected if it goes down to zero, well, then you can leave it in. And then when it recovers, you can benefit off of it. It's just investing 101. Tension has been high since last week when a certain digital currency, which shall be unnamed as of now, lost 99% of its value and is worth less than a penny. That triggered a drop-off in other cryptocurrencies, including the more well-known Bitcoin and Ether. Even after some recovery, the total value of all digital currencies is still down by about 30%. Compared to the beginning of May. Yeah, but we've been here before. We have been here before. Bitcoin has dropped 50% before. I've been there. I held Bitcoin when it dropped 50%, and I held it through that drop, and I'm glad that I did because, well, it recovered. And not only did it recover after that big drop, it recovered big time, and it went way up. So, yeah, I held it through that dip and came out smelling like roses on the other side. And that's the power of being able to stomach these dips. For many observers and investors, the crash demonstrated by the risky and speculative nature of crypto. Yeah, it's a new asset class. Obviously, it's risky. But anybody that tells you investing in anything is secure and safe, they're lying to you. All investments are risky. All investments carry that risk of dropping to nothing. Never, ever, ever believe anybody when they say it's a surefire thing. Somebody says it's a surefire thing, you should run the other direction. But despite the initial shock, Ding said investors like her still see a future for cryptocurrency. I do. I see this as a big old sale and a shakeout. And I like shakeouts, believe it or not. When these big dips happen, all these crappy projects, well, they shed off. And then we start our way back up again, and then more projects get on that are crappy projects, and then we dip and we shed those off too. And the good projects expose themselves and come up at the top. And the bad projects, they sink to the bottom. The crash exposed problems, but the infrastructure is still there, she said. And that's exactly the point. Cryptocurrency is still there, isn't it? It's not going anywhere, is it? I don't believe it is. I'm not a financial advisor. But I've been here long enough that I've seen enough times in this market where everybody and their brother are telling me the market is dead. Do you know how many times I've heard Algorand is dead, cryptocurrency is dead, Bitcoin is dead, everything is dead? But yet, here we are, still alive, still kicking. So, what gives? Why is everybody calling it for it to die when it's not going to? And I don't believe it is going to. Ding avoids what she considers riskier investments in crypto, but she isn't planning to exit the market altogether. You don't leave the entire economy, she said. No, you don't. Not if you want to make money. Not if you believe in your project. Dollar cost average in. These sales bring down your dollar cost average. They bring down your average. And that's a good thing. The next chapter for crypto will almost certainly include more regulation. Hear, hear. I hope so. Said Mark Williams, who teaches finance at Boston University's Questrom School of Business. And we need the regulation. I know I'm sorry to say it, but we need the regulation. We're not having this asset class build and be the future without regulation. I think this is going to be really separate. Now, hold on, let me reread this. I think this is going to really separate the real projects versus those that just had a lot of marketing hype and no substance, Williams said. And it's interesting that he says that on this because just this morning I had a discussion about Algorand and its marketing and how I didn't like its marketing woes in the beginning, but I understand. Rather than focusing on marketing and getting the word out there, focused on getting a good project and getting a good project out. And I get it, and I understand it, and I appreciate that. But I am so glad that with Stacey Warden, we are finally doing some marketing. Because here's the thing. If you have a wonderful project, it's the if a tree falls in the woods. If your project does things that are amazing, groundbreaking, the future, but nobody knows about it, then it never happened. You have to market. You just have to. Cryptocurrencies are part of a larger ecosystem of applications and projects that use blockchain technology. Yes, we know that. We're going to skip a little bit. New regulation could aid growth in the cryptocurrency market, according to Leon Liu, a Boston-based consultant for blockchain startups. Yes, regulation is going to add growth because there are so many institutions that are chomping at the bit to get into cryptocurrency, but they cannot do it because they have to remain perfectly clean without any hints of impropriety. Because if they do, then they risk their entire portfolio and all their investors. But once we have regulation, then it opens the door for these big boys to walk on in. He points that some investors are wary of the volatile swings and regulation-free atmosphere associated with crypto. A lot of investors are, and a lot of big money investors are, a lot of big corporations. He thinks if lawmakers and regulators, such as the U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, are now paying attention, that is a good sign. And yeah, Janet Yellen was 100% against crypto in the beginning. Now she's slowly warming up, and she's agreeing that regulation needs to happen. It's amazing what happens when you get trillions of dollars into a market class. People start looking at it. I think regulation is absolutely coming, but I don't think it is as bearish as people think it is, Lou said. The days of wild, wild west is nearing the tail end. Yeah, we're not in the wild, wild west anymore. We're just in the wild west. We've dropped one wild. Now all we do is drop the next wild, and then we're just in the west. Then we get better regulation, and we're no longer in the west. Then we're in a developing west. The wild, wild west. Boy, I have been in this market so long that the wild, wild west doesn't even begin to describe the beginning of the cryptocurrency market back in the day. But we're all going to have these amazing stories that we're going to be able to tell our kids and future people, and it's going to be crazy. Because they're going to look at it and they're going to say, you mean this cryptocurrency market was only worth blank? Wow, because now it's worth this astronomical amount. It's the same thing as like Wall Street. When Wall Street, imagine if you were around when Wall Street first came out and the idea of investing in these big corporations came out and you took a part. It would be volatile at first as they're learning and regulations are coming and regulations are changing, and one minute the regulation will be overhanded, then it'll be too light-handed, but then it adjusts as time goes on. Well, now look at Wall Street and how big Wall Street is. Imagine that. Lou believes the right regulations could encourage investors to feel more comfortable pouring money into blockchain companies, and I absolutely agree. I don't know how many times I can say it. Regulation is coming. We need regulation. Regulation isn't a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. Not to say all regulation will be good. There will, of course, be some that are bad, some that are too heavy-handed, some that are not heavy-handed enough. But those will adjust as time goes on. That would be a welcome development for some. Oh, let me reread that. That would be a welcome development for some, particularly if it helps keep momentum growing in the industry, and it will keep momentum growing because now you have a safer platform for people to invest upon. I want to see builders continue to build and projects continue on their roadmap, said Michael Millett, a recruiter who specializes in finding workers with technical expertise for crypto companies. Nice. Absolutely, we're going to see builders build. They're not going to go away. Not unless they're like one of those scammer builders. I mean, obviously we want them to go away, and, well, regulation will get them to go away. Millett, who co-founded the company Craft Recruiting, said a couple of his clients froze hiring after last week's crash. But overall, he still sees strong demand for tech talent in the industry. Yeah, the whole market's down. Everything's down. It's not like just one thing, and that's, of course, your Terra Luna. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. But it's the entire market. So that's a good sign that probably the entire market's going to recover, minus some bad projects that deserve to get left behind. And I'm sorry. Do Kwon had made some comments on Terra Luna that were quite questionable. I never believed in the project. I didn't like it. I just didn't think it would go this bad. But Do Kwon had said things like he had an Armageddon button on Terra Luna, and if things went south, he can just push a button. Terra Luna would go to zero within 24 hours, and he would disappear. He literally said that. And those are red flags. So I got no love for it. I mean, I don't care. Terra Luna crashed. It probably deserved to. It seemed like a money grab. The Bitcoin that they bought to shore up the project is gone. They admitted they spent it. Not a good project. Not a good leader. A particular type of cryptocurrency called a stablecoin, issued by the company Terra, was at the center of the crash. As the name implies, stablecoin is supposed to be pegged to the dollar. It's supposed to be stable without wild fluctuations because it's pegged to things like the US dollar. But it crashed. You got lots and lots and lots of projects that are going to crash. I'm going to encourage you to follow the link and read this article and peruse it at your leisure. This crash is a good thing. It will get rid of bad projects. And if you're secure in your project, cool. Then it should recover. I appreciate you guys. Look at the world from a different perspective. The majority of investors fail. If the majority of investors fail, then why do they fail? Because they all act upon each other. It's those outliers that act contrary to what popular motions are that make the money. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your patience. And I will see you guys on the next one.